Join me today as we talk about Star Wars Skeleton Crew Episode 3. This is the Geek Cabal channel. My name is Bobbie, and today we're going to be talking about the third episode of the Skeleton Crew, the Star Wars show on Disney+. I watched this episode with Sarah the other night. She's in the area, so she stopped by and stayed the night. We watched this episode because she watched the first two and seemed to like them. Unfortunately, didn't have time to record a video jointly here. Maybe once the series is done or something, we'll do like a wrap-up video together or something. So anyway, she had similar thoughts to mine on the first two episodes. First one's kind of slow, the second one's a little bit better, but overall, it was nice. See where things go. So, obviously I'm going to be talking spoilers here, so, sorry, it did just come out, but there's going to be spoilers. So some things that were confirmed in this episode are that, yeah, it does appear that Jude Law's character is a pirate. He had some pirate name. I don't remember what it was. In fact, there's going to be a lot of that going on here. I hate to say. There's going to be some vague descriptions because I didn't exactly take notes while I was watching this. So, I'm unfortunately not going to be able to tell you the names of these. I still don't know the names of the characters. And I don't have anything cute like Squid Game to call them. I guess I could call one Max Rebo Jr., but that's a pretty deep cut. So, what do we have in this episode? Like I said, Jude Law's character does appear to definitely be a pirate. Pretty sure he was the captain in the first episode. The pirates definitely had him imprisoned for reasons. And they were intending on sentencing him, which will probably be, pretty fatal for him because pirate politics tend to be that way. So he and the kids escape, and they force him to go back for the droid, and you can see that he's definitely pretty reluctant on that front. And there eventually comes a moment where they're like, "But you're a Jedi," and he's like, "I never actually said that, guys." So, we're going to see what dubious nature he is. By his age and when this takes place, he could have been a Padawan during the Clone Wars, towards the end of the Clone Wars, and somehow escaped Order 66. Or he could be a former Imperial Inquisitor. So there's some options there. Although if he was, doesn't seem anywhere near as brutal as one would expect for that. But that could be the other shoe that drops towards the end. So we don't know. We find out that the planet the kids are from, Aten, is completely closed off from the rest of the universe, apparently. Because they are trying to figure out where it is. And so Jude Law's character takes them to someone he knows that's pretty knowledgeable on all this, but who may or may not be happy with him at the moment. And it turns out she's not. She definitely calls in the New Republic to come capture him. But she starts talking with them, and she quickly narrows down where she's pretty sure the planet was. She thinks it's one of 9 planets that were real important in the Old Republic, 8 of which got destroyed, and this is the one that supposedly survived. She notices some symbol on the main girl's backpack, and she thinks she's narrowed it down. And so the kids are like, at one point, like, well, it could be on, I think they say thousands or millions of worlds, and they're like, wait, what? Millions? Because they don't realize just how big the rest of the galaxy is because they've been secluded this whole time. And so they're like, well, surely you know of other worlds. And they're like, oh, yeah, they teach us about Coruscant and Alderaan. And so I think the one character says, oh, I missed the war, did we? So they don't know that Alderaan is gone, that it's dust now, which means they don't know about the Galactic Civil War. Probably either one. They probably still think that like the High Republic is in place, or the Old Republic possibly. So they're really behind on current affairs. So yeah, so that was confirmed in this episode. And I don't remember if I mentioned that possibility in my previous review, but other people definitely had. So that was a known possibility. Now this definitely confirms it. By the way, the character, I wish I could remember her name, was pretty interesting. It was like an anthropomorphic owl, but like, owl-sized. So continuing the fine Star Wars tradition of wise individuals being really short, which, we have Yoda and I guess Maz from the sequel trilogy, which, I don't know, as much as I despise the sequel trilogy, I don't have any particular reason to dislike her character other than the fact that she exists there. So, I mean, there's a few things I found just ridiculous about her, but like that whole, oh, well, we'll just save this story of how I got Luke's lightsaber for another time. Like, no, let's hear it right now. That's kind of important. But anyway, so she did betray Jude Law. He tries to fight her. The computer spits out an answer. They take the data card. Then he blasts her computer. Then they take off. And then some X-Wings try to stop them. But they know there's kids on board the ship, so they don't go for any kind of like really like destructive hit against it. They try to take it out with ion cannons. Which I think we've primarily seen from Y-Wings before this point. These are X-Wings. Although if I recall correctly from the X-Wing video game, the X-Wings do have them canonically. So, it's been a while since I played that game though. Like, last time I played that was before the Phantom Menace came out. So, it's been a while. Also, I was kind of surprised, unless I totally missed it, like, where was Carson Teva? Like, our main X-Wing pilot, who's like all over the galaxy at any given point in time, the one man holding the New Republic together. Where was he? I was actually disappointed in that. He's like one of the only new characters I kind of like. But yeah, like, I was legitimately disappointed in that. I'm going to have to rewatch the episode just to make sure I didn't miss him there. Because, like, he is our main man in the New Republic for sure. Like, you make a Carson Teva movie, I'll go watch that. But anyway, so yeah, that's most of what happened. So, and then do we see the parents are being told by the provisional government, or whatever they're called, that they're kind of looking into it, but don't expect any real results, basically. And so they're going to go petition them. And then this is where the supposedly divisive moment comes up. Before this episode came out, there were numerous people online saying, oh, just wait till episode 3. This is where it's all going to fall apart and all the woke nonsense is going to be in it. And that's not to say there's not woke nonsense in other Star Wars productions. There most definitely is. But this ain't it, folks. Like, this is built entirely on one of the kids has 2 moms. Now, I don't mean as near as I can tell biologically. Like, I'm assuming like one is his biological mother, or is adopted, and the other is a woman that she's in love with. And given that they are like complete non-characters who exist on screen for all of like 2 minutes, yeah, no, like, this isn't like pushing the message like a lot of other things in Star Wars have been. This is just 2 people on screen who happen to be the same gender in love with each other. Like, those people do exist in the real world, folks. And as Jimmy and I have stated on here several times, their mere existence in other things is not the problem. Like, if they exist in the real world, then I don't have a problem, like, okay, it's when it's when certain things, and again, not even this particular thing, are like beyond glorified, where it's like pushed in your face to be like, oh, look at this is the thing, we should all be like this. that's where it gets into stupidity. Okay, and Disney Star Wars has done that. Like, I don't want to try to downplay that, because again, like I said before, we know they literally have a checklist. So we know that they're not being put in there. Like, if we want to get into like the reason why they're there, that's another discussion. Okay, they're not in there to. Okay, they're not in there to be like, hey, these people exist. This is a kids show. We should teach them that you should not be intolerant towards other people just because they're different. If it were that, a-okay, because I happen to agree with that. Because if you didn't have that, we wouldn't have people of color. We wouldn't have mixed race marriages and things like this in TV shows, But these things are real. These things exist. These things are not evil. So there's no reason to not include them. It's two women who have a child. Like, there's nothing inherently offensive about that. So, yeah, I'm going to say that this was an overblown bit of baloney on the internet here. Like, there's no problem with there being two women here. So anyway, I just wanted to explain that, you can listen to their other videos on it. That's fine. I actually encourage you to watch videos other than mine. I'm not all knowing, and you should have tastes of your own and everything. But like, this is a total non-issue, folks. So anyway, I'm going off on a stupid wild tangent here. But like I said, I just want to say that like this is a total non-issue. The episode was fine. I'm looking forward to the next episode. Yeah, I'm curious to see where things go from here. I will be kind of curious if they can somehow stretch this to a second season, because this feels like the kind of thing that can be solved in one season, and two would be kind of dragging it out, unless for some reason it's only like 6 episodes. It does feel like this could have been a movie so far. We'll have to see how that comes out in the end. Because there could be more twists and turns that can make it, so it appears like it'd be longer. But that's kind of been the problem with some of the Star Wars productions. Like The Acolyte, as much as I disliked it, one of its problems is it just kept dragging everything out. It could have just been a movie, maybe a little bit longer, maybe 2 hours, 45 minutes or something, but you could have condensed that story down to a movie. The Obi-Wan series, season 1, because I guess we're getting a season 2, could have easily been a movie, maybe a longer movie, maybe 2 movies, but that definitely could have been a movie. And I think that actually would have helped it being on the big screen, because I like Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan. I like the Galactic Civil War era, the aesthetics of everything, the Empire, the Rebels, all that. Like, I like that. But like, Obi-Wan and Vader meeting again, that's a cinematic moment. That's not a TV show moment. And so that's where I think that one really screwed up, in my opinion. And I think that's kind of the problem with some of the other Star Wars productions, is that being on Disney Plus makes them feel small. I think part of it's because you're not actually watching it on a big screen. But like the effects are great. The casting is usually pretty good, and they look fantastic. Look better than any other damn show on TV almost, for the most part. Sometimes Game of Thrones looks better, but like, it just feels small somehow. And I think it's the fact that that it's not on the big screen. It doesn't have that weight behind it, that it feels that way. And maybe that's just an irrational feeling. I don't know. But Star Wars is not meant to feel small. Star Wars is spectacle. Like A New Hope was carried really far on the back of, wow, this is 1977. Nothing like this exists. Even movies that came after paled in comparison, like Star Trek the Motion Picture. Like, it was close. They gave it a hell of a run. I'm not gonna lie, I rewatched it not too long ago for our Star Trek retrospective, and like they gave it a hell of an effort. But it's still, like, Star Wars still looks better, looks bigger, And you just can't, it took a while for anyone to even come close to that. And then Star Wars had 2 more movies, so it putting it on TV just feels small. And I think it's also hurting Disney because it's behind the paywall. Like if these were on ABC, they'd probably be killing it in the ratings, but they're on Disney Plus, which I mean they almost have to be because of the budget, but like, maybe they should pick a couple of the shows and put them on ABC to get people to see them. And if they're going to pick one, they should pick probably this one once it's done, because that's the other thing. And I mentioned this in the first video. Why did it take Disney, when they buy the license, 2015 if I remember right, 2014, sorry, because the 10-year anniversary was like within the last few weeks. 2014, it's taken them 10 years to make a live action show aimed at children. Now, I know I've seen people comment online that are like, well, George said it's supposed to be for kids and adults. Well, I mean, as an adult, I've still watched the Goonies a few times. And this show's tilted more towards children, obviously. So that might break that particular paradigm. But given that every other show is tilted towards adults, like Andor is very much not aimed at children. Like it breaks the paradigm the other way. And that's why it's a great show. But you ultimately need new viewers, new customers. Like, so far, this is the kind of show that, like, a parent who liked the Star Wars movies, but their kids just maybe don't get into them, could have used this and be like, look, here you go. People your own age, off on space adventures. Now you want to know more about the rest of the universe? Let's check out this A New Hope movie over here, or whatever. Like that's how you build a fandom that lasts, because you get people hooked on their kids, like all the people my age. That's why we're Star Wars fans, is because we watched the movies when we were kids, and that was on home video. The first ones that were actually released in theatrically in our lifetime, well, Return of the Jedi would have been for people my age. And, if 1 year younger would have seen The Empire Strikes Back released in their lifetime in theaters, but they would have been too young to even appreciate what they were seeing. So we're talking like that fandom built in the dead years of the 80s and 90s until the special editions and eventually the prequels came out in theaters. Like, that's why some people my age are stupidly hardcore fans. Like, that's all we had. And then we had all the EU stuff. That's why the whole canceling the EU just pisses us off to no end. So, yeah, I mean, age definitely plays a role. So, anyway, that's why I think the Skeleton Crew, assuming the rest of the show didn't, like, shit the bed or something here, like, this was the show Disney needed to have at the onset. Maybe Mandalorian Season 1, proof of concept, make sure it all works. But then this should have been the show ready to go right after that. And shouldn't be locked behind the paywall on Disney Plus. Should put it on NBC. Or, or do maybe the smart thing, put the first episode on YouTube. Well, I mean, the first episode of this is kind of slow, but, some of the other shows. So, yeah, I think Disney's on the right track on this one. It's still not perfect, because we're still stuck in the stupid time frame that things don't make any sense. Like I mentioned in the first video, the whole, so the New Republic somehow has problems with pirates, but took down the Empire. Yeah, that still doesn't make any sense and is never going to make any sense. But, that aside, for all we know, the rest of the show is going to be like somewhat agnostic on the time frame, because if they stay outside of political matters, internal political matters to the Star Wars universe, not like Republicans and Democrats or any of that stupid crap, then you could basically ignore exactly when it takes place. That won't be the point of the show. That'll be part of the point, but it won't be like the point. It has to be exactly this year, ABY, Like, no, as long as it's after the Battle of Yavin and not during the Galactic Civil War, that's all that really matters. Overall, I liked the episode. Thought it was good. Want to see what comes next. That's my take on it. with some massive sidetracking and diversions. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. Did you see the episode? Do you plan on seeing the episode? Do you think people wildly overhyped the problem that was going to pop up in this episode? Anything like that, or anything else you want to comment about? You know, it's a free country. At least this one is, supposedly. So, you know, throw out whatever you got down there. But, yeah. So that's all I've got. So if you don't mind, like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Sharing and commenting are the things that help us the most for growing the channel, and we always appreciate it. Those of you who have subscribed, thank you for sticking around. Those of you who have not,
we would be honored if you would join us.
But, yeah, other than that, just remember, the Force will be with you always.